live here at Podcast Movement, and we today are going to be talking about the Podcaster's Guide to FinCon 18. So if you are a podcaster, if you want to be a podcaster, this is going to be your specific guide to get ready for FinCon 18 in Orlando this September 26th through 29th. My name is Philip Taylor. You can call me PT. I'm the founder of FinCon. I'm also a podcaster myself. I've got the Money and Media podcast here for FinCon that we do. I've also done the Part-Time Money podcast and, of course, Masters of Money, which I did a season of last year. If you have a podcast, I would love to hear about it. So please leave a link in the comments to your show, or at least mention your show in the comments. We'd love to check it out. You've heard about me. Now let's meet the man to my right, Mr. Joe Saul-Sehy. Joe, introduce yourself.
Yeah, I'm Joe Saul-Sehy. I'm with Stacking Benjamins. I've been a part of the FinCon community since the second year. Actually, my blog at the time, and I'm no longer a blogger, but my blog at the time came out the month before the first FinCon, and a mutual friend of ours, Carrie Nicholson, actually went to that one. I didn't, and I still feel like she got the jump on me because I didn't get to that first one. But fantastic growth and excitement, and obviously we do the Money Media podcast together.
Sure. Well, thanks for being on the live with me here, Joe. And like I said, we're going to go through 10 points here that are included in the guide. There's a blog post associated with this guide. So if you want to go to finconexpo.com/blog, you can find this guide there as well. But let's just jump right in. What do you say, Joe?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
The first one I have listed here is if you're going to go to FinCon, you need to use that experience to get sponsors for your show.
Absolutely, and don't be shy about that. Listen, these sponsors are there hoping to build relationships, and if you have a show, it's a great way for them to get the word out. I wouldn't pitch everybody. I would go around the FinCon Expo Hall and look for the niches that really your audience is excited about, and pair with those people. I got really lucky actually at one FinCon. I paired with Fidelity Investments way back in the early days, and every early sponsor I had for the Stacking Benjamins podcast came from FinCon. And those have been some of my deepest relationships with sponsors that still sponsor our show today.
That's great to hear. And we've got an experience at FinCon called Pro Networking, which if you buy the Pro Pass, you can participate in, which gives you an opportunity to sit down with a 15-minute meeting with brands. And so if you wanted to, not just chance it by walking by the booths, but actually have a meeting booked going into FinCon to meet with those brands, check out the Pro Pass.
And not to belabor the point, because we have a lot of points to go through, PT, but I think that for a lot of brands, they still don't know a lot about podcast. And what we're learning here is as mature as I think podcasting is, it still has so much room for growth. We're still on the ground floor. And so be excited about the opportunity to tell these sponsors exactly what's in it for them if they sponsor your show.
Yep. If you're an experienced podcaster and you've got sponsors already on your show, maybe drop a comment in the below the Facebook Live letting us know who sponsors your show.
Yeah, great.
Well, we'd love to check and see if they're at FinCon this year. All right, my second point is to record an episode of your podcast live at the Ally podcasting stage. We do live podcasting at FinCon, just like we're doing here, and folks can sign up to do their show there, right?
I remember the first year we organized that, we had like 4 shows, and we were so excited, remember? And now it's the whole time FinCon goes on. It's a circus. It's really fun.
40 plus shows.
Yeah, and it's great. And if you wonder about doing it live, maybe not every single show live, but I listen to a lot of podcasts. I love it when a podcast that's usually in a controlled environment for one episode has this background noise, and has this excitement. And I feel like I'm there with my friends, the hosts. It's a good time. So all you have to bring is an SD card, right?
Bring an SD card and be ready to go. We'll have the equipment there ready for you for 2 to 4 guests typically.
Yeah.
And have fun doing your show live.
It is so fun.
Yeah. And then you find out about, so we're going to release some information by email and in our Facebook groups as to when you can sign up, to be a part of that experience. Speaking of Facebook groups, our next point is to join the new FinCon Podcast Network Facebook group. And so that's new.
Yeah, we have a good time there. And it's this great group of podcasters helping each other. So if you've got any technical question about anything, or even want to share notes about a best practice, there's always stuff going on there.
Yep. And FinCon's long had a great Facebook group in general for the whole community. But we thought it was time to create a unique subgroup just for podcasters, and it's a great group in there. Our fourth point is to get inspired by the podcaster and radio host, Mr. Chris Bogan, who's going to be doing a keynote for us.
I'm so excited. I get to interview him for the Money and Media podcast coming up here in a couple weeks.
Nice.
And I'm going to be Joe fanboy. I can't wait.
Yeah, so he's someone who has a podcast, but is kind of a crossover artist, and he's on traditional radio as well. So I think it'd be good to kind of get his perspective.
Absolutely.
Our fifth one is to attend sessions about podcasting, and more podcasting, of course, on our podcasting track.
I like how that track gets bigger, as we've talked about earlier, gets bigger every year. And this year we have some new voices as I've gone through the app and I've looked, there's a lot of new voices in podcasting doing some great stuff, and I'm excited to attend all those sessions.
Yep. Whether you're a small show, an upstart, or an experienced show, we've got a session for you on that track. And this year, for the first time, we're splitting up the podcasting track with the video track. So they're two separate tracks now. So there'll be 9 true sessions on podcasting at FinCon.
I also like the fact, PT, that there are some sessions that are all about the technical aspects, and there's other sessions that are purely about the creative and making your show more creative.
Yep. A couple of the show titles we have here, or the session titles we have, is How Smaller Shows Can Profit by Julie of Fire Drill, Unconventional Tactics to 3 million Downloads in 16 Months by Brad and Jonathan from the Choose
Those
5
guys
podcast.
are killing it.
Yeah. And then How to Create a Podcast That Stands Out and Gets Noticed with Rich Jones and Mark Scarrett from Paychecks and Balances.
And they've done a great job of that too.
Yep. Our 6th point is, if you're new to podcasting, you can go to the workshop that Steve Stewart is planning on Wednesday afternoon, and he's going to help you create your podcast launch plan.
I get excited at FinCon when somebody hasn't started a blog or started a podcast and they're there to get the kick in the pants. And it's a great way to do it because you see all these people that have done it forever. And the thing that I'll say right now that you're going to hear at FinCon over and over is, I wish I'd started sooner. The one thing I still regret, PT, is not just missing that first FinCon, but it's also that I waited a year to launch my podcast because I thought it was so hard. And we'll tell it's not as hard as you think.
Yep. And I'm always curious to find out how long folks have been podcasting and that come to the event. I know we have a lot of newbies. So if you are watching on Facebook Live, I'd love to see you drop how many years you've been podcasting in the comments there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear about your show.
Okay, yeah. Number 7 is listen to episodes of the Money and Media podcast for event updates.
Purely because the hosts are awesome. That's purely why.
That's a no-brainer. So yeah, we've got a show for FinCon ourselves, a podcast show, and so we love you to tune in on that. And we do interviews with speakers, partners leading up to the event, and it's a great way to kind of get in tune for the event leading up to it. Listen to them on the plane, on the way, however. Did I steal your point?
No. I was just going to say, I think because we've been doing it now for, I don't remember, 4 or 5 years we've done the show. I think this is our best season yet.
Awesome.
I think that we've had so many great guests. I particularly love the interview with Rosemary Groner. If we're going to talk about one in particular, about being very intentional about what you want and intentional with your time. Michelle Schroeder Gardner was super inspirational, the stuff that she's done. Everything from Instagram to Facebook ads to being more creative. It's really cool.
Yeah, and so search for the Money and Media podcast on your favorite podcast app, or simply navigate yourself to finconexpo.com/blog, and all the show notes will be listed there. Number 8 is hire a podcast production assistant at the Freelancer Marketplace.
There are so many cool new jobs that weren't a job when I started in this field. And one thing, you see people making a full-time job now here out of podcast editing, and they're so much better at it than I could ever be, that I think not doing it is wasting my time.
If you're interested in building a team, check out the Freelancer Marketplace at FinCon, and that's free to sign up. Number 9 is meet with a podcasting mentor through the one-on-one mentoring program.
There's no downside.
Sure, yeah. As part of being an attendee at FinCon, we assign you a mentor or mentee, depending on your level of experience. And so this is your chance to meet with an experienced podcaster and tap into their knowledge base and have kind of a buddy at the conference as well. We'll connect you with them before the event.
It is great to have a tribe of people. If it's your first FinCon, it's the beginning of your tribe of people that are going to be friends of yours probably long after FinCon.
Yep. And last but not least is to connect with experts to serve as guests episodes of your podcast. So it's a great place to find people to be on your show.
I'll give everyone a little tip here. A lot of people that come to their first event, they want to tell everybody about what they're doing. FinCon, as much as any conference, even here at Podcast Movement, it's as much about listening, because of the fact I want to hear what you're doing, because maybe there's somebody that could be phenomenal on my show. In fact, PT, just before we started recording, introduced me to somebody, and we're swapping badges because we have a couple great ideas for both of our shows.
Yep. Good stuff. Well, that covers the 10, Joe. Thanks for doing that with me.
Thanks for having me.
You feel like that kind of rounds it out? Is that the guide? Is that the complete guide? Is there anything else to add?
I think if I had to add an 11th one, it would just be make sure you use the app ahead of time and come in with an agenda. I get a good amount out of a conference if I go in and just go, show me what you got. But I get a lot more out of it if I go, what does my podcast need, and what are the sessions that I can go to that can really help me, and who are the people I think can help me, or the people that can introduce me to the people to help me. Go in with a plan, and I think you're going to get even more out of FinCon than all the great stuff we talked about today.
Yep, very good. All right. We'd love to have you ask a question in the comments. We'd love to follow up with that on our Facebook Live. So if you have any questions or concern about podcasting at FinCon 18, we'd love to have you. As a reminder, FinCon 18 is September 26th to 29th in Orlando. There are still tickets available. We'd love to have you experience that. And so here's your call to action. Before you exit this Facebook Live, we'd love to have you go over to the new Facebook group we talked about and join in. That's free to join. We'd love to have you over there if you've got a financial podcast or you're about to start one. So that's it for today's Facebook Live. Leave your questions, comments, like this, share this. And Joe, thanks for being on with me.
Thanks a lot, PT.
Let's say bye.
Bye.